So I'm not interested in anything that messes me up. I'm not interested in anything that gives me brain damage or anything that makes me, addicted to it. I'm only interested in things that can alter my state of consciousness for the better.
So
That's why.
When you take this stuff, do you sit in a room at your house?
Most of the time, when I write, whenever I write, I always get high before I write.
Well, that's
and when
obvious.
I go in my isolation tank.
All you have to do is see Joe Rogan do a stand-up, and you're like, wow, he goes to a different place to write this stuff. And I told you many times, I love your stand-up because it's very different than most of the guys out there. And you'll see for yourself at Caroline's. Look at that, right into a plug. But go ahead.
Wow. So how long are you in an isolation tank for when you take
Couple hours. And for people who don't know what the isolation tank is, if you ever saw that movie Altered States, it's a sensory deprivation tank, and I have one in my basement. And what it is, it's filled with water that's like 11 inches tall, and it's got 800 pounds of salt in it. And it's heated up. Of doing stuff, and you don't want to put anything in your body, you don't want to abuse anything. You don't have to. I mean, you can achieve an altered state of consciousness completely naturally that's not addictive, it's not dangerous. And this isolation tank, they have a bunch of them. There's tank centers. There's in New York, they have them. There's a place, if you Google where to float, there's a website that'll tell you what these places to go to. And this
Why
tank,
the salt water? Why the salt water?
Because it makes you buoyant.
It makes you float.
Incredibly buoyant. 800 pounds of salt and 11 inches of water. I mean, it's incredible density. And you lie in it, and because it's 93.5 degrees, you can't feel the water. You don't know what's the water, what's the air. And once you relax, you get comfortable in the position, you literally feel like you're flying through space. It's total sensory deprivation. You don't hear anything. You don't see anything because you're enclosed in this capsule. With the total pitch black. You don't feel anything because the water is the same temperature as the surface of your skin. There's no sensory input. And the absence of sensory input, your brain becomes like supercharged. It's insane. It's incredible. It's literally like the first 20 minutes is like going on a seminar on your life. It's like it starts showing you all these things that are bothering you in your subconscious, and you have a chance to like think about them and rationalize them and trying to figure out where to put them in. And then once you get more comfortable with the experience, then you kind of cease to be you. Then you sort of become like one with everything, and it gets very trippy. And that's when the hallucinations come and the visions. And
how long you say this?
I go in for hours. I go in usually about 3 times a week is what I like to do, and I go in for about 2 hours.
All right, I'm a beginner, and I'm going to do this next week. How long should I go for?
An hour. An hour's fine.
My buddy,
it's very relaxing too. You get out, you feel great. You feel refreshed. There's no come down time. And if you ever feel freaked out, like, oh, this creeped me out, you pop open the top and you're done.
Well, I'm sorry, just one question. What if you itch?
Well, that's the thing. You're gonna get a little weirded out when you first get into it because there's a reaction that your body has when you're not moving at all. Because you lie in this thing and you stop moving, and your brain just gives you busy work. Like, yeah, your nose is itching you, dude. Come on, scratch it. But really, your nose isn't itching you. Your nervous system is just freaking out that you're not moving.
You're not doing anything.
So you have to do it like 3 or 4 times to get really comfortable with the experience.
My good friend, Brother Weeze from Rochester, he was huge into floating. I don't know if he's still doing it.
It's amazing that people don't know about it.
He would talk about it on his radio show all the time.
He has a tank? Weeze has a tank?
No, I think there was a center up there. It's been a while that I've talked to him about it, so I'm not really sure where he's at.
It's so good for everyone. It's so relaxing. It gives you an introspective and objective point of view on your life that you can't get anywhere else. It's an environment that doesn't exist anywhere else on the planet.
Amazing. You should sell these things. You're a great salesman for these things.
Yeah. I've gone on
now.
shows.
I want to go to one.
I want to go in one. I want a tank for Christmas.
Well, Joe and I were corresponding there for a while, and he was giving me info on these tanks. I was going to get one of these.
You should
do
it.
I got a new place with a room. I don't know what to do.
You got a room. You don't know what to do with? That's it, dude. Fill it up, man. Can it support all that weight with all that water? If it can support a waterbed, it can support an isolation
I'll have to ask my building. But
dude, because
I've been thinking of kind of turning it into some kind of like, you're gonna laugh, like a meditation / reading /
that is what it is. I have mine.
room.
I have a couch set up and I put a laptop in there in case I have crazy ideas. I come out and I write them like right away. You got to wash off though because you're covered in salt. Like you have white all over your body.
Do you feel bloated when you're done? Like you've had too much sushi?
But wait, a laptop. That's pretty cool, man. I like that.
Yeah, I have a room downstairs that's set up. It's just this room that I trip out in.
How long after you get in the tank do you start tripping out?
For me, 15, 20 minutes. Because I'm so used to it. I've done it so many times that my body just knows, here we go. And I just plug in.
So, how How do you know when it's time to like leave the tank?
Sometimes I just stay in there for a long time. Sometimes John Lilly he set up John Lilly's the guy who created the tank. He's also a pioneer of interspecies communication. He used to take acid and trip and talk to dolphins and literally figured out like a gang of things about dolphin communication and language from tripping acid and communicating with dolphins in an isolation tank. He put an isolation tank right next to this aquarium where these dolphins were living, and he would communicate with the dolphins while he was in the tank. But he figured out a system so he could defecate and urinate while he was inside this tank, so he could stay in there for 10, 15 hours at a time.
Wow, that's kind of oof.
Yeah, that's a little.
How would he take care of it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a filtration system somehow.
Doesn't your skin get waterlogged though?
2 men in a tank.
But it doesn't really hurt you.
But there's another question. Yeah, but all right.
Damaging.
But so you go into your tank and you're very relaxed. Do you have like a system where like some kind of alarm that goes off knowing that you've been in there an hour or two?
Well, if I do it, sometimes I know. Like say if I have a set at like 9:30 at the Improv or something like that, and I know I get in at like 6. I gotta get in by 6. If I get in at 6:30, it could get wacky. I might be in there for like 3 hours, and I might be late
you really
for my
stay that long, man? Wow.
Yeah, I like 2 hours. I like to go in there right before jiu-jitsu. I go in there and think about. I can go and do jiu-jitsu in my head when I'm in the tank. It's an unbelievable experience.
You ever go in there on drugs?
Yeah, mostly pot. But mushrooms too. Yeah.
Oof.
You ever went totally sober though?
Oh yeah. Totally sober's fine. Totally sober is a psychedelic experience in itself. I mean, you don't need to do anything.
I'm gonna float next week.
It's amazing, man.
It have
takes
places
a few
in Manhattan?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna
it takes
check it
a few. A lot of them are like spas and stuff. They'll have them, but it takes a few times to really get relaxed. And a lot of people that are using them in these spas, they don't really know what it does. They think, oh, it's relaxation. It's wonderful, and it is relaxing. But it's also a very intense experience because in the absence of sensory input, you'd be amazed at how powerful your brain is. It's like, say if we're having this conversation, say if you're talking to somebody, you got a really important thing you're talking to them about, but there's this guy next to you and he's screaming and yelling. Like we were at dinner last night. Remember those people at dinner last night, Ari?
Yeah,
where the guy was trying to talk to us. The waiter was trying to talk to us, and there's this guy. I played soccer when I was 18. He still thinks he's 18. And they were so loud. She was disgusting, and they were drunk, and it was really loud. And it was so hard to hear the guy talking. I couldn't listen to the waiter because I was so distracted.
Yeah.
Well, you're constantly computing like distance and social cues and space, and you're constantly thinking about where you are. And in the absence of all that, your brain becomes a very different thing than it is when you're moving around in regular life. Right. It's not normal to like separate your brain from sensory input. When you do, you go into these insane visions. And a lot of people believe it brings you closer to source. It brings you closer to what human beings really are. In absence of your body, in absence of culture and tradition, all the things you've learned, what you are is like a soul or an energy or a thing, and it tunes you into whatever that is.
That
feels like
cool,
Kane from Kung Fu.
No kidding.
Just wanders the earth.
But he does study this stuff.
Kick ass.
Well, it's just
and then he just he's very philosophical.
This wasn't a quick Google on his part. He's been studying this for a long time.
Well, I've been doing.
He's gone deep into this stuff.
Gets out of the tank and just can drive a salty foot right into someone's mouth.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for about 9 years now.
Imagine if he wasn't doing all this stuff to relax his soul.
I know.
You would be just killing people all day long.
Well, I have very bad genetics. You know, if I wasn't doing martial arts and stuff, I think a lot of people that are in prison, a lot of people that are in bad places in life, they have bad genetics. You know, a bad environment and bad genetics makes a violent person. But all that's just energy. You know, if you figure out a way to channel it.
Now we got a ton of people that are just asking more about this floating. Where do they float?
Go to Google where to float and put it in Google, and there's a website that will show you all over the world, different websites or different places where you can go.
All right.
Different cities, different. There's a lot of, and you might have to drive a couple hours. Trust me, it's worth it.
And everybody listening in New York, stay away from all the places where you can float in New York because I want to do it next week.
I'm sure you could probably get in. That's the amazing thing is it's not hard to. It's not like. You know, everyone, you know, it's like there's yoga classes and Pilates classes, and they're packed up, and you got to, you know, book in advance, but nobody knows about this.
You like the yoga?
Insane. Yeah, I love yoga. Yoga's
I'm starting to get into
amazing.
That. A little bit.
It's hard to do, man. It sounds so faggy, like, oh, I'm taking a yoga class. Oh, why don't you just go blow a guy? Can I say that? No. Cut that out.
You know,
number 2.
I've worked out my whole life. Like yourself, I always try to stay in shape with all sorts of different like classes and weights and stuff. And I started doing yoga a little bit, not a lot yet. and it's brutal how hard it is. Brutal. If you're doing it right. Especially.
Yeah, and you see some little 90-pound Chinese chick, and she's doing it.
She's just rocking.
Pouring sweat. Like, what the hell?
Just by getting in a position and holding it, you're sweating like you've never sweated before. What about the farts, though?
Oh, yeah, that comes out.
The whole room is just nothing but a symphony of fart. I don't know why, but yeah.
Especially if you don't eat right, if you're not eating healthy. Yeah.
Do you find that you break more when doing Warrior One? A lot of times I find that when I'm doing Downward Dog, I don't fart as much. But Warrior One,
yeah, well. All right, we got to take a quick break. We got Ari, of course, and Joe Rogan here.
Tonight at Caroline's at 12:30. Really, really great
12:30
show.
12:30 or 12?
12:30.
Okay, 12:30. Good.
Show up at 12 and just cause noise.
Joe's stand-up is very funny and very, very interesting. I'll say that every time you're in.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
First time I saw him at the Comedy Store in L.A., I was blown away. I had no idea because I just knew you at the time from
I'm a whore. I've
being
done
the
too
guy
many things
TV.
for money. I've confused a lot of people. A lot of people don't even know I'm a comedian. I'd say like 80% of the people know who I am. I go, what, you do comedy?
It's very interesting and clever comedy, I love that about you. All right, more with Joe Rogan next. It's Opie and Anthony.